Welcome once again to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matthew Balzer. Today we're going to get you up to date with everything that's happened in the last 24 hours of hockey. Starting with an interesting one, NHL decided to have a couple regular season games this year in Finland between the Winnipeg Jets and the Florida Panthers. So neither of those fan bases get to see each other's team this year. So they play tomorrow night, then they play back-to-back. So they're playing tomorrow night and Friday night in, I believe, Helsinki, Finland. And what are your thoughts on the NHL doing this? I myself, if I was a season ticket holder, I'd be furious because, you want to try to see as many games or as many teams as you can.
Yeah, especially with I forget with New Jersey and Edmonton. I think they only did one game, correct? Over their regular season game. I want to say.
Yeah. No, they did do two.
Okay. Yeah. Because if you do two,
oh no, you're right. They did one, but they both played a preseason game prior to playing each other.
Okay. Yeah. Because that makes a lot more sense. It's a lot easier when it's at the beginning of the season. Because they've done that a couple of times. When it's in the middle of the season, it's really strange. Like, I know for Florida fans, I know it's not it won't be as big of a deal just because their fan base isn't as big. But Winnipeg, Florida has some really good up and coming stars like Barkov, Trocheck, Huberdeau. Those are guys that you want to see. So I don't mind it if it's at the beginning of the season because then you get it over and done with. But yeah, it is really weird that they're doing it just about a month into the season. But I know especially in Finland, you got Barkov, you got Lane, you got those two big stars that are both from Finland that you would want to promote over there. But yeah, it is interesting that they waited a month to play those two games in Finland.
Is this what Patrick Lane needs to wake up?
Yeah, I think getting a home crowd behind him. Only 2 goals so far this year. It is Winnipeg. Actually, it's just their record isn't bad. It's still good, but a lot of their players haven't been living up to that their play from last season. Like Hellebuck, his numbers are below. I believe his save percentage is below 91 right now. And some of their other Wheeler, Scheifele. A lot of those guys, they've been producing here and there, but they haven't gotten to that elite status or whatever that we saw from them from last season in the playoffs and last year. So hopefully for Lane, if he can get back on one of those hot streaks, and especially if they can get their power play going with him as well, because Nikolai Ehlers is another guy who only got his first goal when Winnipeg played Toronto, I believe. So that was a long time into the season before those guys started to get going.
Well, on both Ehlers and Lane, of course, on the second unit last year with Paul Stastny. Ehlers now on the top line, Kyle Connor playing, and they got Lane moving up and down every line. He started on the 4th line against Toronto the other night. Hopefully this is a jolt he needs to get him going because they need his goals. Moving on, Arizona last night, winning their 5th game in a row. If you haven't seen it, watch Derek Stepan's shorthanded goal as he shot the puck down the ice from his own end right through Mike Condon, who after the game got placed on waivers by Ottawa. What are your thoughts on the game and what Ottawa did?
I know, yeah. So it was Mike Condon's first start in a long while. I think he only played in one other game so far this season. He let in 3 goals on 11 shots in only 15 minutes, and that was the end of his night. Yeah, and then I'm surprised they put him on waivers. It's like I know he let in a really bad goal, but just with their depth, I think Mike McKenna, I believe, will be called up from the minors after last night. But they get into Arizona. I think Alex Galchenyuk scored his first goal as a Coyote and added an assist. They're getting a lot of depth scoring throughout their lineup, guys like Panik, Richardson, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson getting his first goal last night. So they're getting goals from every line. The goaltending, Ronta has been really good. I believe their goal differential is plus 10 now. and they're only 2 points behind the Canucks with 2 games in hand. So they're moving up the standings pretty quickly here now.
Well, like I said, they're one of the hottest teams right now in the NHL. Tampa Bay down early, 2-0 to New Jersey last night. Come roaring back and win 8-3 against the New Jersey Devils, who we talked about as being one of the favorites to rise to the top of the Atlantic Division. I guess that kind of stops a lot of their momentum and proves that Tampa, they had something to prove after losing 7-1 to the Arizona Coyotes. They're all hitting their stride at the same time without Hedman in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Braden Point had a huge night with 1 goal and 4 assists. And Stamkos scored his 350th career goal off a rocket from the point, posting in on a one-timer. But yeah, those guys, they don't like to be embarrassed, and when those guys want to show up, they're a scary team. Like Kucherov had another 2 goals last night. Yanni Gourde had 3 assists. And Stamkos and Kucherov both had 3 points. And even Braden Coburn had 2 goals last night. So if you're getting 2 goals from a defensive defenseman in one game, that's you know your team's rocking and rolling. And Corey Schneider,
back too. He might have been the straw that stirred the drink last night to get them going. So
yeah, and then Corey Schneider came in relief for his first game action of the season. So with Kincaid's play slipping just a little bit, be interesting to see if Schneider can go on a run of games now.
Only 1 game on the tap tonight. Vancouver Canucks home to the Chicago Blackhawks, Rogers Arena, all decked out and decorated for Halloween. I know a lot of the fans that are going to be dressed up. Patrick Kane game time decision because of the flu. Canucks, of course, recalling a couple guys from Utica. Brendan Gauntz will get into the lineup for Brandon Sutter. What other updates do you have for us? I know there's some more injuries on the injury front. We mentioned one yesterday in Jonathan Quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jonathan Quick right now is going to be out indefinitely. He had surgery on a torn meniscus in his knee. So that basically, as much as the Kings suck so far this year, that basically puts their season down the drain. So they'll be going ahead with Jack Campbell and Peter Budaj as their 2 goalies. I might look for the Kings to make a trade, or even heck with Mike Condon on waivers today. That might be a team that might look at picking up a goalie as the season goes along. The Canucks ruled out Chris Tanev for the rest of the week. That hip bruise that he had against the Vegas Golden Knights hasn't healed as quickly as they thought it would. And Brandon Sutter had an MRI today to see the full extent of his injury, though I think we reported yesterday he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks at least with a separated shoulder. And then Robin Leonard left last night's game against Pittsburgh with a strain in his groin, I believe. So he's only day-to-day, but that's something to keep an eye on. And Roberto Luongo looks like he'll be returning next week for the Florida Panthers. So that's really good news, as James Reimer and Michael Hutchinson have both really struggled this season.
Anaheim Duck defenseman and one of their highest minute played players, Josh Manson, missed last night's game for the Ducks. May miss a couple more as he's day-to-day right now. Montreal Canadiens' Paul Byron left last night's game and is a question mark for tomorrow's game for the Montreal Canadiens. Any other news and notes, and then we'll get into the Vancouver Canucks lineup tonight against Chicago.
Yeah,
one of the best rivalries in hockey, by the way.
Just a couple point streaks that continued last night. Brent Burns and Timo Meier both have 9-game point streaks right now. Both have been on fire. Michael Granlund, who scored a beauty bar down goal for the game winner, also has a 9-game point streak going. I mentioned it on yesterday's show, but Sebastian Aho extended his point streak to 12 games last night, and a couple guys returned to the lineup. Joe Thornton, after missing a few weeks with that knee infection, was back last night for the Sharks. And also Jason Spezza, shout out, played his 1,000th NHL game last night in Montreal. And as I forgot on the injury front, Pekka Rinne got activated off injured reserve last night. And then getting into the Canucks game tonight, we'll see what Pettersson does for an encore. Just one thing I would ask you. I've seen some stuff with Brock Besser, just with his play, and we know his groin injury. Would you sit him out? I think at least a couple weeks or something, just for him to heal up, and then for him to come back and then rip it up when he's fully healthy.
For me, I don't think I would sit him out. I know his injuries have been mounting and he's been playing hurt, but to me, he just looks too big and too bulky from whatever the off-season training that they had him on. He seems to be slower on the ice. I don't know. I think that was before he hurt his groin. And if his arms and his neck are a lot bigger than last year, you could tell as well in his stick handling even. So it's something I think he needs to look at with his off-season training. But, man, he just has not had the one-timer or the wrist shot apparent at all this year. Only, we've seen flashes of it, but it's not consistent like it was last year, where every game he was getting 2-3 great wrist shots, chances on net that he was scoring on. So,
yeah, I think especially with Horvat and Pettersson's play, I think that's really overshadowed a little bit of his struggles to start this season. And getting into the Canucks defense, I want to give a shout out to Ben Hutton, who's actually been playing out of his mind these past couple of games, averaging, I think, around like 25 minutes a night. I think him and Troy Stetcher, I think, have been the two standouts so far. I know Gabranson and Pouliot have had their ups and downs of late, but at least the defense, with all its injuries, especially with Tanev and Edler out long term right now, I've sort of been playing pretty well back there. And Jacob Markstrom, ever since getting those few games off, has really come back with some strong play in net.
I believe Alex Biega only played about 10-12 minutes last game, but I don't know if it was just me, but he looked a lot faster than he normally does. He's skating well. I just don't know if he's making smart decisions by always jumping up in the play. He seems to be up higher than the forwards half the time. He just seems to take a lot of chances. It pays off with some scoring chances that they get. But, man, if it doesn't work, he's going to be caught out of position and will be a quick minus, I think. So it's something to watch for coming up. But he has looked faster, which is interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, and then, other than that, the Canucks lineup will be the same lineup, except, as you mentioned earlier, Sutter will replace by Gauntz on that third line with Roussel and Eriksson. I'm going to be interested to see if Adam Gaudette's going to get around the 13 to 14 minutes tonight. With Brendan Gauntz, I think he only had one game back playing for Utica since he got injured down there. So he's sort of still in that recovery mode, trying to get back into game shape. So I think Gaudette will get some good ice time, and I think he got put on the second power play unit as well in practice. So that's something to keep an eye on. We'll see if Pettersson can get a couple more goals or a couple more points tonight. Should be another exciting game with Chicago in town.
And Gauntz, of course, going to probably play some key penalty-killing minutes with Sutter out of the lineup. So remember to like and share and comment on our Facebook page. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Final words, Matt, before we end today's show.
Yeah, so I'll have the Canuck highlights on our Facebook page at B&B Hockey Talk. You can follow us there. And, we'll be back on Friday because it's going over the Canucks game tonight. And Thursday night will be another busy lineup. I think another like 10, 11 games on Thursday.
We'll have one game under our belt of Hockey Night in Finland, maybe even two. So enjoy the hockey tonight if you're a Canucks or Blackhawks fan, and enjoy all the games tomorrow. We'll be back here Friday. Everyone have a safe and happy Hallows Eve.